Why did you get a PhD in soil biology? What are you going to use that for?
A few moments later.
I feel so stupid for listening to everyone in my life who said that if you follow your passions, the money will come. Because I got a whole ass PhD in soil biology because everybody eats, right? Everybody like wears clothes. And I thought that like sustainability was important or whatever. And now, where are the jobs? If anybody could let me know where the jobs went.
I think it is important, fam, to make sure you research your actual degree so you know you're majoring in a career and not a hobby. Now then, I am going to give her some due credit here. The clothes we wear, the food we eat, sustainability, I absolutely believe is important. I really, really do. The problem, however, is much like myself, who even got a liberal arts degree in journalism in the 80s, when you could get a liberal arts degree in the 80s and you could still easily land a job, even a career. Today, we have to look at things a whole lot differently. We have to ask ourselves, okay, and let's not even talk about AI, but majoring in something like, I believe in earth sustainability, so I'm going to study soil. Great. It was her job to make sure she researched it before she got a PhD in it. And over, I will tell you on this channel, guys, a PhD does not guarantee a job. A PhD does not guarantee wealth. A PhD don't even guarantee you respect by the other PhD people in your field. And there's something I want to just give people a heads up, okay? Because I come from a line of PhDs, double master degrees, the whole 9 yards. A PhD for a lot of you young people, yes, it is the ultimate academic badge of honor. There is nothing higher than the PhD, also sometimes often known as a doctorate. They're kind of interchangeable. They're the same, but they're not the same. So whether I'm talking about PhD or the doctorate, the problem is these are research degrees. And a lot of people who major in this stuff just don't understand that. For most jobs, you do not need a PhD to land the job. And in fact, getting a PhD too young may actually hurt you more than it will help you. Why? Because you don't have the work experience and the years to back up the knowledge. In other words, when I think of someone coming from my own background who has a PhD, my parents all got them in the 70s, 60s, 70s, that time period, clearly, because I just turned 59. But those degrees are meant to say you're not just book smart, but even more so, you are hands on job smart. So sometimes getting a PhD, just like it can with a master's, even too, getting it too soon before you have any work experience in it, or before you have enough work experience in it that the people in the industry will hire you and take you seriously, it can actually backfire. So now she's stuck with this degree that what is earth sustainability, soil, and all of that stuff. That's great. That's wonderful. Her fault. She should have done it. She should have looked at the job market before she got it. I have told you, I recommend strongly that you don't get a PhD until you've had, geez, for me, I would say probably nothing less than half a decade in the field, and you're already currently employed. And if possible, the company is helping you get that PhD. In other words, you're getting some immediate benefit out of getting the PhD. I suspect she just got it partly as a hobby because it was important to her.
The schools that my son was accepted to, we got the financial aid, especially as number one. Got the financial aid. Bottom line looked great. Like, okay, good, this is going to happen. We're so excited. Then I had to go and be the responsible adult and actually look at it. And the last line, the very last line of my son's financial aid package is a Parent Plus loan for $17,000 for the first year of college. I don't understand why they put that as part of his package. Shouldn't that be like a parent's choice? I also don't quite understand because the FAFSA said that the parental, the family contribution for my child was $500. How are people doing this? I have my own student loans. I'm Gen X. I'm going to have student loans the day I die. Okay. And I didn't go to that expensive of a school, at least, well, it gets considered anymore. But like the interest and everything, I'm going to be paying on this in my casket. And
the reason they put the student loan on her child's application for college is she did not do it. So I actually have to congratulate her. Okay. This mother refused to take out the loan. But the reason they do that is they know that it is hard sales. Remember what I've told you guys, okay? Student loan is a business. It is a hard sales tactic. It does not do well to say, okay, this is your child's college package, your child's college financial aid package. Now, in big letters, mom, dad, you guys are going to need to consider contributing $17,000 a year. And this is $17,000 a year that she was being asked to contribute. So I'd like you to sit down and think about it, look over your budget. And no, the student loan people ain't going to do that. Remember, student loan is hard sales. It is very, very competitive, not just for you to get into a school, but the competition is also the schools want your dollars, kind of a symbiotic relationship there. Okay. So it doesn't make sense to say in big letters, what is it, 18 font? We have not included the parent $17,000 a year contribution because we need you to think about it. No. What they do is they slip that $17,000 in, probably in the same 11, 12 font as they slipped in everything else, and say, here you go. So see, what happens is the hard sales is your child sees it and goes, oh, mom, dad, I got accepted to my dream school. Here it is. And they're jumping up and down because they see tuition all covered and paid. But it's up to the parents to do what this parent did. And she looked at the fine print and she goes, wait a minute. You want $17,000, remember, times 4 years. Because it's easy to look at $17,000. Go, well, that's not such a bad eating for going to college. No, that is per year. So mom is looking at 10, 20, 30, 40, but probably around 70,000. You guys know I'm bad at math, okay? She's probably looking around 60,000 of her child's bill. Plus, as she said, she's about my age group. And she also has her own bill, which she already knows she's probably going to pass away with. And I would have passed away with mine for 110,000 till I got forgiven after 16 years of teaching middle school in 2022. So this mom was really smart and refuses it. But that's why they tuck it in the way they do. They want your child to get excited. They know that the best pressure to go to a college doesn't come from the financial aid office. It comes from the child looking at the parent going, look, it's affordable. The balance will be zero. They're going to pay for everything. That's why you have to be the adult in the room and look at it.
His number one school wanted me to take on an additional $17,000 in a Parent Plus loan. Just threw it in there, just for fun. Let's see what this parent does who, her son is absolutely heart set on this school. And then again, very last line of it, $17,000 for a parent loan.
The very last line, and let us also not forget, and I guarantee you, like I said, it was in that small font. Let's also not forget the Parent Plus loan, the worst loan of probably any loan you can take out, including credit cards. You can go bankrupt on credit cards. And by the way, for those of you out there who are thinking, well, I'll just run up my credit card debt and go to school. No. Because what's going to happen is, take it from me, with 2 bankruptcies, and one in my 20s and one in my 30s, as you know, one credit card, and then my 30s was a car that I went bankrupt on, not even for lots of dollars. It was like $16,000 for the car and $25,000 for the credit cards. But at that time, it was an insurmountable amount of debt. I could not get out of it, even working nearly 2 jobs. But let us remember that the Parent Plus loan has the worst interest rate, and the interest rate also starts right smack the day that they cut that check. There are no subsidies. There are no forgiveness. Let us also not forget, under the new BBB, Big Beautiful Bill, Parent Plus loans are now capped per child. And I think it's a total now of 65,000 total. So you can still get yourself into a whole lot of trouble, even with the new cap limits on Parent Plus loans. And let us also not forget, just like any other loan, now, of course, it's never been, but you can't go bankrupt on it. And the other thing with Parent Plus loans, there's no longer any income-based repayment. Can't remember if that starts this summer or in 2027. I'll have to remember. Now, they bounce this stuff around a lot. But I do know that in the Big Beautiful Bill, the Parent Plus loans no longer have income-based payments. So if you really want to sink yourself financially and kill your retirement, okay, or make your children feel miserable and guilty because you took out a loan, take out a Parent Plus loan. All right, who else is crying over student debt?
I finish medical school, I will be in over $400,000 of debt. But the kicker is my average interest rate is 8.2%. So almost 50,000 of that is interest that I have accrued while in medical school. I feel overwhelmingly stressed out, almost to the point that it's paralyzing. This means during residency, I would have to put nearly $3,000 a month on my loans to just cover interest. Now, I think that I can probably manage to put $1,500 a month towards my loans, which means when I finish residency, my debt will have ballooned to over $500,000. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's like making me feel like I can't catch my breath to think about it. And this is something that I haven't really shared with you guys, mainly because it's easier for me to ignore it right now. I make zero money. I can't do anything about it. You can't even refinance while you're in medical school. And if you refinance to a private lender, you do lose the opportunity to do public service loan forgiveness, and you also lose federal protections like income-based repayment, etc.
Let's make sure you understood what she just said there. As I was having a little coughing spasm. My apologies. That's why I turn away from the microphone. All right. And I have warned you this. When you have federal student loans, a lot of people are tempted or enticed to take those federal student loans and turn it to a private company, because some private company says, hey, we'll take your 8% down to 6%, or we'll take your 8% down to 0% for 24 months, whatever, make it up. Okay. It seems like the better deal on the surface, but in the end, it's not the better deal, because you are giving up all future potential forgiveness programs that student loan, that federal student loan would give you. If I had taken my $110,000 in student loan, I had turned it over to the multitude of private industry companies that had wanted me to transfer my loan to them, I would have lost out on the opportunity for $110,000 worth of forgiveness. When you're looking at the bad and the worst, federal student debt is bad, private student debt is even worse. And for those who can't see the screen, this is June 10th.
I'm not sharing this to scare you guys,
but it should scare you.
I think that I just haven't been super honest about it. And it has been weighing on me to such an extent that, like, I'm studying for step 2 right now. And it is genuinely like this intrusive, terrifying thought that I cannot get out of my head. And going into this, I knew I was going to take out debt. We don't have an extra $70,000, $80,000 a year to pay for medical school. But it didn't scare me as much 4 years ago. I think that I'm just getting older. I'm 35. My husband's 38. And knowing that I'm still going to be kind of like digging myself out of a hole for 10 years after residency, which is 15 years from right now, all of a sudden just sounds suffocating, especially because I have a child and I now understand how expensive that is. And you just want to be able to provide so much for them. And I also really want another child. I am not going to come on social media and cry about my own decisions.
You know, I hate to say I feel vindicated, but I feel vindicated. I have said many times, one of the big things that young people don't realize about student loan debt. We went in, she's no teen. I think she said in her 30s now. Okay. But a lot of people they won't face the truth. And that is, your life priorities are going to change. I can say this 100 times. I can say it 100 times, 1,000 times. Your life priorities are going to change. Now, as far as myself dealing with unexpected debt, now that I don't have a car payment, I don't have a mortgage, I don't have a student loan payment, it's amazing, because the unexpected bills that crop up, such as, this weekend where I needed to have someone take a big blow machine and clean out all the dust in my bathroom. Yeah. How often do you get the vent in your bathroom cleaned out? Exactly. I had that professionally done. I had them go into the water heater section. I wanted a bunch of little holes where the wires, go into the wall, keep out them little Florida critters. I had that done this weekend. I also had them go back behind the fridge, seal up stuff. I mean, I just needed some basic house maintenance and care. And I wanted by a professional company that's that has already worked on my place. And so that cost a few $100. And I was able to go, no problem. Here you go. Take it. Okay. Now, of course, I'm looking at the bill and stuff, and I want to make sure it's reasonable. But, I still was able to get that done. Had I carried debt, I remember my olden days, you guys going, oh my God, I can't afford to do that. What? That's going to be $300-400. I don't have the money. See, what's happening here, it's not that I don't commend her for wanting to be a doctor and stuff. She didn't really quite say what it was that she was majoring in. I sure hope it wasn't, $500 to be a chiropractor, but I'm assuming doctor, all right? But the problem is she wants to be a doctor and she wants to have a family, couple of kids and all that, and a spouse. And I'm almost willing to bet, I could be wrong, I would take a bet her spouse also has debt. I would take a bet I might lose. But either way, they have $500,000 in debt, or what will be $500,000 in student loan debt. Plus, they want to have 2 kids. Sometimes you have to just stop and say, you know what? We've already got 1 kid. We have $500,000 in debt. Let us peel ourselves out of the mess we already have before we make further steps. But much like our resistance to having to wait, people want everything now. They want it today. They don't want to have to wait. But this is the problem. We voluntarily, with student loan debt, get ourselves into that problem. I voluntarily got myself into student loan debt, and I would have retired with it. It would have gone straight into retirement with me, would have gone straight to the grave with me. Short of me marrying someone who had a whole bunch of money and said, here, let's just go ahead and pay it off. And we can't rely on that, nor should you rely on that as an out.